Welcome to Life on Maui. I'm your host, Stephen Freid. We're coming to you live from the Spirit of Aloha Oceanfront Botanical Gardens, and this is a beautiful, beautiful spot. The subject for Life on Maui, it appears this whole month, is going to be veganism. And we have got the vegan leadership team of Maui here to interview. We are going to go through and hear some of the best possible perspectives on why to become vegan. We're going to ask some questions that hopefully you have about being vegan, and it'll be an education and hopefully fun as well. Our first two guests are Meenakshi Honig, who is internationally acclaimed yoga instructor and wellness consultant. The other guest, wonderful man, I know personally, I know everyone personally here, and he's going to correct me on his last name if I get this wrong. ON Le'amohala.
That was a valiant effort. Beautiful. Le'amohala.
Okay, there we go. So I want to start off with Angel Meenakshi Honig, and ask her why and when did you become vegan?
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Angel. Nice to be with you today.
We're so glad to be with Maui's male version of Oprah here today.
All right.
And on behalf of our whole team, actually, the Maui vegan leadership team, some of whom aren't here today, but just 6 representatives from that team are here today, and we're all thrilled to be part of your show. Thank you, Steve.
Sure.
And why I became a vegetarian. It started out when I was 11 or 12, and it was the first time I just thought hamburger was something that came in a cellophane package from the grocery store. And as soon as I realized that it came from torturing and killing and grounding up animals, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I didn't even know one single vegetarian, never heard of vegetarianism, but as soon as I knew what it really was, I didn't want to have any part of it. So I became a vegetarian at the age of 11 or 12. And then I thought, like many people were under the illusion, that milk and dairy products was this pure white substance that's good for your bones. And I thought that cows just, you know, were peaceful in the pastures and lovingly gave their milk. And so I was a vegetarian until the book came out, Diet for a New America by John Robbins.
What year was that?
I'm not sure. That was about maybe 30 years ago.
Vegetarian around 11 or 12, and then a little later on in your 20s, vegan. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then when I learned, as a result of the book of John Robbins, the atrocious, cruel conditions that the cows have to endure and that the chickens have to endure for the eggs, at that point I gave up the dairy and the eggs as well and have been a vegan ever since.
And what is the Vegan Leadership Council? What is it? Why is it here?
Okay. Well, the Maui Vegan Leadership Team is a group of kindred souls that came together for the purpose of forwarding our joint purpose, which is basically loving kindness. To be loving and kind to the animals, to the environment, to our own health. And we found that by collaborating our efforts, we could do more to get the message out of how vegan diet improves our relationship with the animals, with the environment, and with our own health.
Wonderful, wonderful. And what have you encountered as some of the myths that people have about being vegan?
That's a great question, Steve. A lot of people say to me, oh, you're vegan, well, how do you get your protein? Okay, well, actually sunflower sprouts have more protein per weight than steak. And if you're on a vegan diet, you can get protein from peas, beans, nuts, seeds, avocados, all the leafy green vegetables. In fact, there's no way that you can't get enough protein if you eat a whole food vegan diet. And actually, most Americans suffer from an excess of protein, which actually, in order for the body to process, leaches from their bones and contributes to osteoporosis and to kidney failure. So although the myth is you're not going to get enough protein, the fact is most Americans are getting an excess of protein, which is depleting their health.
Gotcha. And just so everyone knows, I've got some tougher questions. I'm going to wait to ask some of the other people. I'm just priming the pump and letting an explanation come out about what veganism is. I think it's important. There are probably many people who don't even understand what it is.
Exactly, Steve.
And how do you see that a vegan diet relates to practice of yoga, which you have done for most of your life? You're a high-level yoga instructor.
Thank you. Well, the basic principle of yoga is ahimsa, which is a Sanskrit word that literally means nonviolence. And it means to do our best to cause the minimal amount of pain through our thoughts, through our words, and through our actions. So this ties in with vegan diet because every single bite we take, we are making a vote for either cruelty, loving kindness, devastation, or well-being. So if we're practicing ahimsa, meaning our intention is kindness, we'll make the kind choice that is kind to the animals, to the environment, to our own health, and to the entire global situation and well-being.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, this is a good moment for Home to step up to the plate.
Hi, Steve.
Hey, Home.
Hi.
Hey, brother.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, oh, pleasure. Now, part of your expertise, and you're going to have a demonstration here, are what are the environmental detriments of eating meat and dairy? So you've got a demonstration that's going to involve your beautiful wife and child.
Yeah.
And please introduce them and show us your demonstration.
Well, thank you so much for asking. I'm going to have Heaven and Koa, my son and beautiful assistant, my wife, stepping in just a moment. I have the wonderful opportunity and daunting challenge of trying to explain some of the environmental impacts of eating meat and dairy, as well as the benefits of not eating meat and dairy, eating a plant-based or vegan diet. In 5 minutes or less. So here we go.
Yeah.
And we're going to start with air quality. A lot of people aren't aware that one of the biggest contributions to our carbon footprint is actually eating animal-based products. Recently, the United Nations did a little survey, and they discovered that all the forms of transportation provide 13% of the overall carbon footprint of humans. An omnivore contributes 18%. So that's 140% of all the transportation in the world. So here's our graphic here. What I've got is all the trucks, cars, trains, planes, automobiles, and boats in the world combined. All the carbon that they put out into the atmosphere is about 2/3 of a omnivorous diet. Of all the animal agribusiness in the world. So to demonstrate that for you, I'm going to bring my lovely assistant's foot up here. This is the carbon footprint of all the transportation in the world. By comparison, this is the carbon footprint of omnivorous eating. And this is the carbon footprint of a vegan. Do you see it? Do you see it here? Okay. So thank you, Koa. This is my vegan little buddy here, my son, who's vegan from birth and well before birth. So that covers the air. We're going to cover the water next.
That was a soulful presentation.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Angel, good one.
Okay. So now, what does veganism have to do with cleaning up our water? Well, if this is 1 gallon of water, and if this were all the water in the world, all the drinkable water in the world would be represented by about 15 drops. Now, if this were all the water you could drink in the whole world, this might be a little personal, but would you pee or poo in it? Because that's what we do with animal agribusiness. There are literal mountains of feces piling up. I hope I can say that on your show.
You can.
And lagoons, as they're euphemistically referred to, of urine that are building up all over the place. They spill into our aquifers, they spill into our riverways, and they basically contaminate our drinking water as well as our oceans. We have something popping up throughout the world now called dead zones. At the mouth of the Mississippi River, there is a dead zone that is 8,000 square miles big. That means nothing grows, nothing lives. And these dead zones are popping up by the hundreds throughout the world, any place that rivers are being used as flushing mechanisms for animal agribusiness.
Isn't there also something to do with cow flatulence?
Oh, okay, so returning to carbon footprint. That's part of what makes animal agribusiness such a severe detriment to our atmosphere. Flatulence, that's a nice word for it, is basically methane gas escaping from the cows. And that flatulence, methane, is somewhere between 20 and 30 times more potent as far as trapping sunlight into our atmosphere. Also, from the feces, the mountains of feces we're talking about, comes nitrous oxide, which is almost 300 times more potent at trapping sunlight. And,
Nitrous oxide, the kind you breathe in at the dentist?
well, the kind that some people breathe in, yeah. True. Yeah, so that is all escaping. There's also all the water that's pumped in, all the food that's being produced and provided. So I have a few more things that I want to list off that are the detriments to our environment.
Okay.
Deforestation.
And then I have a question for you.
Sure, absolutely. Deforestation, topsoil erosion, desertification, and habitat destruction, and that all leads to extinction. Okay? Deforestation is basically when we mow down acres and acres. We're basically mowing down about 1.5 acres every second right now. So every couple minutes, an area the size of Kahului Airport disappears from the face of the earth. We have no more forest. The forests are the lungs of the planet. It's what cleans up our air, cleans up our carbon supply. It's also what supplies our fresh air for us. It is our lungs. So mowing down the forest is definitely detrimental. Eating a vegan diet reverses that. It is said that for every person who converts to a vegan diet, 1 acre of rainforest is spared every single year. So you can attach that to your list of contributions for every person that goes to a vegan diet.
So here's a question from the proverbial audience.
Wonderful.
Because I've been discussing this all week that I'm going to have this council, and we got some questions that are coming in.
Excellent. I'm happy to hear them.
So suppose everyone decided to go vegan tomorrow.
Great.
What would you do with all the cattle and chickens?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Thank you so much. Well, all the cattle and chickens are here because we propagate them. Well, if you don't mind my using the word, we rape the cows. We inseminate them artificially. We make them get pregnant. And, well, we would probably just stop making them get pregnant. The ones that are here would probably live out the rest of their lives out on a pasture somewhere and not be reproducing anymore. And so that would pretty much settle that.
Okay. And I'd like Angel and Home, could you tell us how we can get in touch with you? What's your website and so forth? And
sure.
we'll also put it under the screen so people can contact you if they want more information, because people are going to need support if they want to make a change, and you'd like to support them, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We love to provide information, inspiration, and implementation support. So I personally conduct yoga retreats and wellness programs right here at the beautiful Spirit of Aloha Oceanfront Botanic Gardens that can be for an individual or for a group. My website is angelyoga.com, really easy to remember.
Angelyoga.com.
Yes, and I would just like to say that one of my favorite quotes by Norman Cousins is, "There is nothing more powerful than when an individual acts out of their conscience and thus helps to bring to life the collective conscience." And that is really our intention for this show today, is to really provide information and support for people to make new choices for this new year.
All right, and Home.
Well, I am the co-founder of the Optimum Living Alliance. and we're located just a couple miles down the road from here. And at our base of operations, we call it the ON MAUI Sustainability Center. Our website is ola-life.org.
OLA-life.org?
O-R-G, org,
Okay.
as in organic.
Gotcha. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you.
Thank you,
And this
Steve.
is just, we're going to continue on. We're going to have two more very well-educated guests. Not, I mean, these guys are as well, but now we're moving along, and I've got some interesting questions for these guys stepping up next. Thank you so much, Angel.
Thank you, Steve. Pleasure to be here.
And thank you, Home.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So I want to welcome our next two guests onto the show that I'm just thrilled to have on the show. Steve Blake, author, lecturer, taught at University of Hawaii and at Stanford, and Sarah Taylor, author of Vegan in 30 Days, and you have a certificate from Cornell University attesting to your expertise in the vegan diet, and you have written a book called Vegan in 30 Days.
Yes.
So why don't we start off and ask you, what is a vegan? What's a vegan?
Well, you know, there are actually a lot of different definitions of vegan, but the way I like to describe a vegan is somebody who does not eat or use any kind of sentient being or their products, which is different from a vegetarian. And many people ask this question, what's the difference between a vegetarian and a vegan? And as far as diet goes, a vegetarian doesn't eat any type of flesh, including meat, poultry, or fish, but a vegan won't eat meat, poultry, fish, or their products, which basically means dairy and eggs.
Okay, so just in a nutshell, what do vegans eat?
You know, that's another good question, because people say, I've had people say to me, well, if you're not eating meat and dairy and eggs, what are you eating? And there's, you know, we think fruits and vegetables is what's left over, but first of all, there's a huge number of fruits and vegetables that we may not have tried if we just stick to our favorites. There's also countless types of beans and grains that I never knew about until I became vegan, and I started getting bored eating the same 3 dishes over and over, and I started looking for new types of foods. And when you uncover these new beans and grains that you weren't aware of, you realize that it's just an incredible amount of food that's left over. So it boils down to beans, grains, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds.
And you have been vegan for how long?
11 years.
11 years.
Yeah.
And you come up with interesting and flavorful combinations of food that keep you interested in being vegan.
I do, and I'll be the first person to admit I don't like to cook, and I'm not particularly good at it either.
We'll do that later.
Yeah, mine's really a how-to-go vegan book. Vegan
Yeah.
in 30 Days. It does have a handful of great recipes in the back. Thank you.
There we go.
Handful of great recipes in the back that, true to my style, are easy and flavorful. But I don't enjoy cooking. And so I look for recipes that are quick and have a lot of flavor that I don't have to think too hard about. And I can make in bulk, so I don't have to cook every day.
And how would one go about going from eating everything to being vegetarian to being vegan? How would you recommend that somebody goes that direction if they choose to?
I like this question a lot, because one of the biggest questions I get from people is that they've heard really compelling information, just like we heard from Angel and Home a moment ago, and they're really interested in the idea of going vegan, but they're completely overwhelmed by the idea because they can't imagine what they would eat and how they would live in a society where meat and dairy are so prevalent. So the first thing I like to tell people is that the overwhelmment at the idea is so much more in our heads than it actually is in practice. It's very easy to eat a vegan diet once you've taken a month or two to learn about some of these new grains and vegetables and beans and things. And it's actually very easy to eat out at restaurants and things as well. One last thing I'll point out is if you worry about missing your favorite foods, there are incredible what I call transition foods, vegan foods that will transition you from a meat-based or dairy-based diet into a healthy vegan diet. So, you know, fake sausages and meats to go on your pizzas and fake cheeses that they didn't used to be good 10 years ago to 11 years ago when I went vegan, but now they're really amazing.
Okay, so here's a question that I've got for you. Do you really think that one diet is for everyone? Do you really think that it suits everyone to be vegan? Because from my experience, and I'm going to ask this question in a couple different ways from both guests, because to me this is very crucial. There are many people that I know, people who are well-educated, sensitive, spiritual people, who will say that they don't feel as good eating that way, that they feel better eating meat. And they do choose to eat organic and all of that. What would you say to that? I'm curious, because there does tend to be a little bit of a sense of one size fits all, it should be for everybody. My personal opinion is I'm not so sure about that, but I'm wondering what you have to say.
I think that it very much depends on the person, but the caveat I would say is that if you look at the data, and specifically the medical data, which I know Steve will be talking about next, all of the meat-based and dairy-based and egg-based foods are very, very unhealthy for the human body. And so I understand that somebody may feel better if they're eating meat or eating a little bit of dairy, but I would really challenge them to not only try the vegan diet to see if that's true, but to make sure they're eating a healthful vegan diet to see if that's true. Because it's common that people will decide to go vegan and they get all gung-ho about it, but they don't take the time to try new recipes and really eat a balanced vegan diet with lots of different foods, and then they don't feel well. And they say, I did not feel well on the vegan diet, but they were not eating a healthy, well-balanced vegan diet.
Well, the people I know actually were, because they were very educated and they still felt better eating the other way. So I guess it's just, I'm going to press on this a little bit, because I'm not so sure that one diet is for everyone. And, you know, we'll talk more about that, though. We'll talk more about it. But how would somebody in a non-supportive situation, they want to be vegan, you know, their family doesn't support them to be vegan, what do they do? And what do they do when they go out to a restaurant? You touched on that, but...
Yeah, there's a lot of social issues like that with going vegan, and going out to restaurants, I think, is actually almost a non-issue these days, because so many restaurants either have a vegan item on the menu, or you can easily ask the waiter or waitress. They almost always know what it is now, certainly the chefs do, and so you can simply ask for something vegan. If you don't want to make a scene, you can call ahead and just tell them you'll be coming in. But the question about family being unsupportive, I think, is a really important one, because I think so, that might be one of the biggest reasons that people don't go vegan, is that they're worried about how their family is going to react, or being alienated at family events or Thanksgiving dinner or something. And what I would say to that is that I think, and this is my personal philosophy, is that I think it's very important to respect people's choices, which means that if you decide to go vegan and you're really gung-ho about it and very sold on the reasons, that you need to respect other people's decisions not to go vegan. And in return, you can turn around and ask them to respect your decision to go vegan as well.
Wonderful. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
And I also think that when you set a great example, there's no better way to convert other people to veganism, because they start seeing, well, I didn't think that Steve was going to stick with it, but he has, and a year later he looks better than he did 10 years ago, and he's happier and healthier and more energetic. So be respectful of everyone's decisions and set a great example.
I think that speaks volumes, because the truth is that there's so many people who can't even relate to it, and they look at somebody like you or anybody who's on the panel and they'll say, they are some healthy, good-looking people, and they've been vegan a long time. It's working for them.
Yes, and if they knew how old Angel is, they would be amazed. She told me today, and I thought, wow, she looks fantastic, 20 years younger than her age.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so one other thing I just want to ask you. I know for some people, you know, giving up cheese or certain things is a little, I think you addressed that. There are good substitutes, right?
Yeah, but I would love to say something about cheese if I could, because many people say, well, I would love to go vegan, but I could never give up cheese. And it could be some other dairy product, but I will tell you, I went vegan quite on accident by the same book that Angel mentioned, Diet for a New America. I thought it was a diet book so I could lose some weight, had no idea what I was getting into, and the next day I went vegan, literally. And before I went vegan, my 4 food groups were Swiss, Havarti, cheddar, and chocolate.
You were heavy in the cheese.
I loved my cheese. There's no doubt about it. All my dairy products, I mean, I lived on them. And what I will say is there's a little secret about the vegan diet that many people don't realize. And that is that if you go on a healthful vegan diet that's not only vegan, but it's also, you know, light on all the salts and sugars and fats, your taste buds will revert back to their natural state before you started inundating them with all of these foods. And once your taste buds go back to their natural state, then you find yourself in this position where foods that used to be just okay, like apples or corn, yeah, they're fine, they start to explode on your tongue and you crave them, you want them, and then it becomes effortless to be a vegan. I do not have good willpower. People think, vegan for 11 years, she must have the willpower of a saint. I certainly don't. It just becomes effortless when you get your taste buds cleansed out.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, Steve. Steve.
What have you got for me, Steve?
Woo! All right. Well, I'm going to start off easy. What are the health benefits of a plant-based diet that, from a medical perspective, he's got a lot to say, and I want to really get as much as I can out of you.
Well, the health benefits,
yes,
they would be that you don't get a heart attack, which is the biggest killer. You don't get strokes. Chances of most cancers are dramatically lower, especially breast, prostate, and bowel cancer, 3 of the biggies. Diabetes becomes a non-issue on a whole food plant-based diet. Basically, think of it as being kind to the human animal within you. Now remember, heart attacks have no symptoms before they occur. Rarely do they. And diabetes has no symptoms either. So people can walk around feeling okay, looking okay, and then drop dead. In fact, it happens every few seconds in America. So that's one of the health advantages of being a vegan, is that you don't feel ill. You also seem to have more energy if you're eating a whole foods plant-based diet as opposed to a junk food vegan diet.
Okay, so here we go. I have a close friend. He was vegetarian for years, vegan. 2 years ago, he had a stent put in because of blockage in his heart. This is a man around our age. He now eats a diet of meat and vegetables, and he's totally eliminated all the grains. So he eats meat and vegetables.
Sounds like a paleo diet.
And he said he has never felt better in his life or healthier in his life. He's dropped weight. He said that eating, too many grains just put on a lot of weight. And even eating a lot of the nuts and so forth like that put on a lot of weight. So a lot of the alternative stuff, like eating stuff with a lot of nuts in it. So what would you say? I mean, how can you... And I hear things like this all the time, you know?
Right, and this is why we have science.
Yeah.
And science tells us that if you eat a whole food vegetarian diet, your likelihood of having a stent or a heart attack or a stroke is vastly lower. It does happen that vegetarians and even vegans get heart attacks and strokes. So we're only lowering our risk.
Right.
You can lower your risk by many, many times by switching to a plant-based diet. But then again, you need to do it just right. Any old plant-based diet is not going to hit all of the nutritional places that we need. We have certain nutrients that humans need every day, and you need to know whether or not you're getting them. Unfortunately,
like B12, isn't that a biggie with vegans? They need extra B12?
It's a biggie with vegans, but clinically, when you see B12 deficiency, it's not vegans that are running in for it. It does happen with vegans, but it happens most of the time with people who eat plenty of B12. And the problem there is that their stomachs are not able to process the B12. The intrinsic factor doesn't get made in the stomach. It doesn't get hooked up. They can't absorb it properly. Basically, a low fiber diet, which is what an animal-based diet, an American diet, or a paleo diet, very low fiber diet, is going to mess up your intestines. Because it was mentioned today that humans are actually vegan animals. We're designed for that. And when you put in the wrong fuel, people don't run too well.
Yeah, but I want to bring this up again, a little different angle. I've had a number of different people over the years, people like us who are sensitive, well-read, spiritual, whatever, and have been vegan, don't feel good, have introduced meat, and feel better.
Right.
So
And-
what do you say?
Well,
what do you
that's
say to
something
them?
that I've studied very closely,
Yeah.
and I think it's basically a balance of the essential fatty acids.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to be a little bit more careful with that than some people have been. Clearly, everyone needs to take a sublingual B12. Meat eaters even more so than vegans, but
Mm-hmm.
pretty much everyone. That's the only supplement that I would say everyone needs to take.
By itself, or can it be part of a multivitamin?
Well, it depends. If you're a whole food plant-based vegan, it could be part of a multivitamin because your digestion's probably operating perfectly without, large mucus buildups on the inside of the intestines, which, by the way, are caused by casomorphin, which is an opiate-like substance induced by dairy products. Recent research is showing that it clogs up your intestines with mucus and your lungs as well. So we're finally getting some scientific verification of the snot produced
Of
by
the
dairy
mucus
products.
effect. Right.
Yeah.
Right. After eating a pizza. Right. Yeah. So obviously, you think the healthiest diet would be straight vegan.
I prefer to say whole food plant-based because after all, a vegan can be drinking
Coke.
Soda pop.
Coca-Cola. Yeah.
and they can be eating potato chips and all kinds of unhealthy things. So there are bad vegan diets and there are fat vegans. There are even fat raw food vegans. So in order to be healthy, you need to do a little more. One of my projects is called the Diet Doctor, a software to analyze your diet. So you can see graphically the nutrients that you're getting in your food. So you can check and see. And those people who you said gave up on being vegan, they were clearly missing something or had a bad ratio between their essential fatty acids. They were doing something wrong, but they didn't know what it was, and they weren't getting the right information in order to use that diet correctly.
So you believe that it has completely to do with not right information. There's no space in your belief system that could think it's not for everybody. You really think veganism is for everybody.
I don't really go by belief because I am a scientist. Nutritional biochemistry is my science, and I look very carefully. Human beings are vegan animals. There's no way around it. I have a nice long talk called Perfect Food on that. And you can look at the eyes, the nose, the lips, the tongue, the teeth, the trachea, the size of the stomach acid potential, and so on through the entire body to fingernails, speed over ground for catching things. Everything about us points to it. And in fact, when people are fed a vegan diet, they become extremely healthy. And when they're fed a typical American diet, well, 1 out of 3 will get cancer, 1 out of 2 will get heart disease and die. So we can say for sure that this is known scientifically. It's not.
What you're saying is known scientifically that if you eat the standard American diet versus that, but I'm just talking about a healthy diet, including some meat.
To the extent that you eat meat, you will be less healthy for many reasons. The fiber is going to be too low in your diet if you eat meat. Also, the fat satisfaction with meat. Meat has no vitamin E and virtually no essential fatty acids. So this is a huge problem for human nutrition. We need those things. Those are essential daily nutrients. So if you eat meat, you're not likely to eat nuts or avocados that have vitamin E and essential fatty acids. So you're going to be lacking in those. Also, if you eat meat, you probably won't eat the sprig of parsley on your plate or the broccoli over on the side. You might not even do much with the potatoes. Let's face it, when you watch people eat in a restaurant and they have a big salmon fillet there, you pretty much ignore everything else and they get very full from that. They're also eating an enormous amount of calories with just a few bites. So their stomach doesn't get full until they've had too many calories.
Pardon the expression, but that's also from a lot of crap food. I mean,
Yes.
we're talking McDonald's,
Yes.
Burger King.
Let's break it into 3
Kentucky
pieces.
Fried Chicken, the worst crap in the world, as opposed to maybe in some of the Asian countries where they have fish and they're thin.
Well, let's break food into 3 pieces. You've got animal foods, very unhealthy any way you cut it, including fish because of all the PCBs and other mercury and environmental toxins, very unhealthy for you. And just not going to do you a lot of good. It's better if you don't eat any. No fiber, no vitamin E, lots of very fragile fatty acids that need vitamin E in your body to prevent cancer, and they're not there. So you better pour a walnut sauce over that next salmon you eat. Now, the other group is junk food. And we all know junk food's bad. It tastes great, but it's bad for you. Potato chips, cakes, cookies, crackers, candies, all of that junk. So then that leaves what Sarah talked about, which is the healthy foods. Whole grains, beans, nuts and seeds, and vegetables and fruits, mostly.
Well, it's very fascinating to me. By the way, I'm just representing what some other people have said. You know, I don't eat meat myself, but I think it's just fascinating how there's so many different perspectives. And I thank you. And how can people get in touch with you? What's your website, Steve? What's your website, Sarah? In case people have questions or want to follow up.
Okay, it's naturalhealthwizards.com, and that wizards is plural. So, and I have many publications, including the Diet Doctor, if you'd like to analyze your diet. And if you are feeling you're lacking in some nutrition, you should analyze your diet because nutrients are invisible. I have many publications, such as a McGraw-Hill textbook on vitamins and minerals that I wrote in 2008. And these are all available on my website, so I won't say more.
Okay, there you go. And
Great.
Sarah, anything to add or your website?
My website is thevegannextdoor.com. My current book is Vegan in 30 Days, which really helps people make some practical steps to getting meat and dairy out of their diet and eggs. And I have a new book coming out later this year called Vegetarian to Vegan for those vegetarians who are looking for reasons and strategies to get dairy and egg products out of their diet as well.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much
you.
for coming on the show.
Thanks for
Thank you,
having
Steve.
us.
It's a
Great to
pleasure
talk
be
to you.
here.
Thank you. Our next guests are, and I'm going to try my best here, Brook Le'amohala, she'll correct me, and Fredrick Honig. Two beautiful people.
Thank you, Steve.
And Brook is the founder of the Mama Earth Cafe, makes amazing food, co-author of incredibly delicious vegan cookbook right there with fabulous recipes in it, and co-founder with her dear husband home of Optimal Living Alliance. Swaroop this is his place, the Spirit of Aloha Oceanfront. This is his creation that he's created over the past 13 years. He is a master manifester and very adamant vegan. He believes very strongly in it, so we're going to have a great conversation with these two. I wanted to ask you first about how do people cook vegan and have it be simple for themselves?
Oh, great question. Yes, well, first of all, you can start where you're at. You don't have to feel overwhelmed. If you're already eating eggs and bacon in the morning, you can make scrambled tofu. And as Sarah said, she mentioned, there's so many meat analogs nowadays. You can just go to the store and buy some bacon or sausage. That's healthier option than eating actual meat. If you eat a burrito at lunch, you go to the burrito store and you order a burrito. You could say, hold the cheese, hold the sour cream, and put some extra guacamole on there. So it can be a very simple and very, my suggestion is to start from where you're at and make it simple, make it easy. So there's many options like that. Even if you're eating at McDonald's, I think they have a veggie burger now.
Even McDonald's has a veggie. I think your food is some of the best on the island. So anybody who tastes your food, it would be a very quick way for them to get what vegan is about. So maybe demonstrate, just very simply, you have a little demonstration of vegan.
Thank you. Yes, well here we have a super simple, super delicious cashew cheese. And this is a recipe which has very few ingredients. The way I love to teach people is with simple recipes, and then they can add from there jalapenos, chipotle, fresh herbs, anything they want. And there's so many things you can do with cashews. They're amazing for a vegan and a raw vegan diet. And the cashews actually have a little less fat in them than some of the other nuts too. So in this recipe right here, this is just cashews, water, some Celtic sea salt, some lime, and in this particular one there's some chipotles. You can also use some jalapeno peppers. And it's super easy. You just take a couple cups of cashews, a little bit of water. I mean, I have a recipe I'll give to you guys, or you can look on the website and find more yummy recipes. You just put it all in the food processor, push the button, and whiz it up for a minute and a half, and you have a delicious, yummy cheese that you can use as a spread on breads, sandwiches, for crackers, for quesadillas, in your burritos. In fact, this cheese, I've made quite a few pizzas, vegan pizzas with this cheese, and people that are not vegetarians, they taste the pizza and they are just amazed that this pizza is the best pizza they've ever had in their life. Not only is it okay, it's better than their normal cheese pizza. So that is my passion. My passion at Mama Earth Cafe is to marry excellent taste with excellent health. And so that's what our aim and our passion is at Mama Earth Cafe.
And she does it. And it's the truth. It's really true what she's saying. It actually is that. It is delicious. So seek it out. And I also want to hear, we saw a little earlier your beautiful child, and you went through the pregnancy and raising the child vegan. Speak to that.
I did. I've been vegan for 18 years myself, and I had a 100% vegan pregnancy, and my son Koa has been 100% vegan throughout his entire life. So yes, I am living proof that you can have a very healthy, very strong vegan life and family and pregnancy through the whole thing.
Is this a testimonial or what? Absolutely. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. And Swaroop, my dear friend,
Steve.
and we've been wanting to do this for a while, so I'm really glad we're doing it. We're doing it at this beautiful property.
Thank you.
And a lot of things to say. You see that there's some correlation between dietary choices and violence and war and domestic violence. Is that true?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. You know, I've been a scientist of consciousness all of my life. I lived for 20 years as a monk in a yoga ashram. I've studied with the world's most renowned yoga masters. And I believe that the unit of energy field, what we call God, it reflects itself back to us in the actions that we perform. And that's why Jesus said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The nature itself is fair, and it reflects back to you the energy that you're giving out to it. So if you treat animals like merchandise, you will be treated like merchandise. Like it's impossible, like right now, all over the world, humanity is seeking a greater freedom, and they will not get that. You know, like you kind of see one revolution after another revolution, the same problems reincarnate into the new regime. The reason is they don't go to the cause. Like the root cause of human suffering is the way we treat animals. And it's not just humanity. Each person in their own individual life, like if any person has love and mercy to animals enough to let them have their own beautiful life. When a mother cow has her calf, she wants to give that milk to the calf, and that calf wants that milk. And if that calf gets that milk, that calf will be healthy and grow. And a human needs human milk, or a plant-based nutrition milk to be healthy. So if humanity wants to live in harmony with nature, the first step is treating all animals with respect.
Including human beings.
Including humans. But in a way, it's our dietary choice. Every time we eat meat, we are becoming more like a carnivore. Like carnivores, if you look at any carnivorous animal, they by nature are restless, they're violent, because they have to do that. They have a different task than an herbivore. Herbivores, look at a cow, a goat, a horse, a camel. You know, they're all sweet, kind animals. You can go up and play with them, and they're not going to hurt you. You know, they have a very peaceful. They live in herds, and they understand how to harmonize with the other members of their herd. Carnivores are very competitive, and herbivores are very cooperative.
Well, you have a real mission, and you really see Maui as a perfect platform for you to start people signing a vegan pledge. I know this is a big thing for you. You really would like to start this process. And I'm interested to hear about part of it. When I hear it, it almost sounds funny because then you need people to enforce the vegan pledge. But I know that's not the way you think about it. It's just in my little Monty Python brain. But how do you see going about doing this? How do you want to implement that?
Okay, I would say, heaven on earth is possible. Like, it's within. It's actually the destiny of humanity and creation. We've been in a 13.7 billion year evolution, and the goal of that is to achieve a state of heaven, of peace and harmony, and your life living in with optimal respect to each other. And humans are the stewards of animals. Like the rightful place of humans is to be the protectors of animals, to drill wells for the elephants and help them in their migration. And when humans do that, the nature itself readjusts to be harmonious with us. Like by becoming vegan, all of those different aspects of the ecology come into a line. So in a way, for all humanity, the greatest shift that humanity has to do is to claim our natural state. Like I think what Steve was mentioning too, our intestines are 40 foot long, or 30 foot long at least, so we are herbivores. So in order to accomplish that vegan pledge, I have a quote from Albert Einstein, and we have, and then I'll describe the vegan pledge. Nothing will benefit human health and increase the chances for survival of life on Earth as much as the evolution to a vegetarian diet. Vegetarian food leaves a deep impression on our nature. If the whole world adopts vegetarianism, it can change the destiny of humankind.
Wow.
And so what we ask people to do is be the solution. Eat healthy, renewable, plant-based nutrition. Go vegan in 2012. And what we're hoping is that we will have at least 10% of Maui County signing a vegan pledge within this year. That's our goal. Wow. And to do that, we're hoping that you can we'll be having many programs here at the garden, several per week, that the public can come to get help with that. And we're giving people a way of understanding what we mean by the pledge, which is we want people to make a commitment to going vegan within a certain framework of time. It could be immediately, or within a month, or within 6 months, within 1 year, within 3 years, or within 5 years. And different people can do it in their own way, and we will offer support along that way.
And tell a story about your beloved mother, Magic Jeannie, who we just love. She recently passed, but she had a health issue that really got pretty much resolved by veganism.
Yes.
I think that's the important thing, is that she really did. She was going to have a possible medical procedure, but rather than having the medical procedure, you convinced her shift from vegetarian to vegan, and indeed by shifting from vegetarian to vegan, the problem resolved itself. So speak about this with beautiful Magic Jeannie.
Yeah, well, thank you. I had the great honor of hosting my mother for the last 9 months of her life here at the Gardens. And my mother was an exalted spiritual giant in her own way. And even at about 35 years ago, she became a vegetarian, just because she was open-minded enough when she came to visit us that she embraced that also. But so she was relatively healthy, but even with vegetarian diet, about 10 years ago, she had a coronary heart disease where she had a blockage, and the doctor wanted to put a stent in. And we actually had already signed even allowing that to happen. But at the last moment, we called Dean Ornish. We got him on the phone. He was a friend of ours and also a student of Swami Satchidananda, who we studied with. And Dean Ornish, has really proven that even the worst cases of coronary heart disease can be reversed with a vegan diet. And he talked with the doctor about all of the specifications of my mom's blockage. And together they thought that she would be a good candidate for this diet. And my mom said, sure, I don't want a stint, I'll go vegan. And the only difference she had to do is to take off dairy and eggs, which she was still eating some of. So she took that out of her diet, and within just several months, the doctor was amazed that the blockage was gone. It was completely open where he didn't want to do a stint, and 6 months later, he couldn't even find where the problem was.
Wow.
Her heart was totally back to normal. And so she got out of her life a whole nother decade of, good life quality because of her being vegan. And she lived decades beyond her siblings who were not vegetarian or vegan.
Well, this is a wonderful
Wow.
story. It speaks volumes.
Thank you.
So, in closing, I want to honor the people who've made this show possible. So, would you like to mention the people who've made it possible? And I'd also like you to give a website so people can get in touch with you, and for Brooke to do the same.
Okay. Our website is thegardens.org.
Thegardens.org.
THEGARDENS.org. And, we can go there and you can get a lot of good information about that. Also, even just doing a website, I'll just say to anyone, if you put vegan in, there's so many wonderful websites out, each one with fantastic recipes. There's so much support that's really available on the internet that it's really worth just opening up to it and just taking this process. The main thing I want people to do is I want people to decide, yes, I understand the benefit of this, and I am going to make a change myself in my own life to do this. And I'll do it in my own time. I'll do it gradually. But a job once begun is half done. So if people can take the pledge and then allow yourself to come to programs that help reinforce that, it doesn't take long. Like, nature is so forgiving, and even problems that took years and years to develop, blockages, can be eliminated in months and up to maybe a year. The blockage is gone. So if you switch to the right diet, even though you've had a lot of problem in the past, it doesn't take long to clear up and to feel better.
Nature's amazing. Nature's amazing.
And so
who do we thank for this show?
Okay, I want to thank first my other sister, Jaya, and her husband Steve, who very generously thought this idea up and got the ball rolling with you, Steve.
I love Jaya and Steve.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Jaya and Steve.
And David Johnson, who generously also donated toward this, and Sarah Taylor, and Meenakshi Angel Honig, my beloved sister, and myself, The Gardens. We also helped to do this. So I'm grateful to all those people, and to you and Andre for videotaping this, and for the energy unit of energy field for giving this beautiful day, and all of the unmistakable grace that made it possible for us to be here today. And I hope this is the first of many, many wonderful programs that we offer here from this venue on helping people with this critical transition. In a way, it's the most important transition that humanity has to take, or any person can take. And everyone can do it. They shouldn't get overwhelmed. You can do it step by step. And the divine grace, the wisdom, and the kindness of the unit of field will come and flood and help you. All you have to do is start and move in that direction, and soon you'll feel so much better. There'll be so much encouragement that you'll easily be able to make the whole way.
Ah, what a wonderful, this is just fantastic. And
thank
you so much. What's your website again?
My website is mamaearthcafe.com. And we offer food preparation classes and raw food chef certification course, and many other options to help assist yumminess along the way.
Yay.
To make it easy and delicious as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And
thanks, Steve.
Swaroop, thank you so much. So that's it for this incredible episode of Life on Maui. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you benefit from it and enjoyed it as much as I did. So until next time, aloha.
Cancer's pretty scary, heart attacks too. High blood pressure and cholesterol are bad for you. We can live in fear and worry that our dying day is near, or melt away those silly threats and grin from ear to ear. We watch meat eaters decaying, it surely seems like fate, until we understand that they've all made the same mistake, poisoning their bodies with things that don't belong, which is why it's time to sing this very healthy song. There's never been a better time. You don't need any other reason to go vegan. Rainforests are disappearing, the ocean life too. Our topsoil is diminishing day by day. Fresh water is depleting, global warming is getting worse. Extinction is running rampant, now we feel like our own curse. Did you know that the water to make 1 pound of chicken can bathe you for 2 months? 1 pound of pork 4 months, and beef an entire year. We can spare ourselves and children from the cause of all this waste by switching to the habits that brighten every day. There's never been a better time. You don't need any other reason to go vegan. Your children and grandchildren will thank you oh so much for having the good sense to make a change, and for showing them the importance of minding your own health and helping ensure the planet's health remains, and for giving them an example with crystal clarity of sparing God's innocent children from a fate that need not be. You see, mutilation is ugly, murder is too. Being skinned alive is quite obscene. It's easy to let it happen when you don't have to see. You can pretend it doesn't matter because you don't hear their screams. Mothers crying for their babies, babies crying for their lives. It's a terrible crime to pay someone for someone else's life. And the saddest part is it's needless. Eating them does us no good, which is why it's simply practical and easily understood. There's never been a better time. You don't need any other reason. There's never been a better place. It's easier than ever to begin. Go vegan.
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 Call me crazy, but I'm never giving up my